A single dad, working night after night just to keep the lights on, pulls over to pick up a drunk CEO. She stumbles, slurs her words, and then does the unthinkable, shoving $10,000 into his hands. But he refuses. The next morning she shows up sober with a gesture so massive, it doesn't just change his life, it threatens to blow his entire world apart. What begins as a story of unexpected kindness soon spirals into viral fame, corporate betrayal, and a fight for his daughter's future. Because behind the money lies a secret the world isn't supposed to see, and a powerful enemy who will stop at nothing to silence him. When integrity collides with power, will his refusal to take the money cost him everything? Before we get into the story, comment below where in the world you are watching from today. The dashboard clock glowed 11:47 p.m. as Marcus Ellison pulled his Toyota Camry to the curb outside the old duplex he rented with Kayla. Another driver had just canceled, leaving him at the top of the queue. His lower back ached from 8 hours already logged, but October rent loomed in 3 days, $400 short, plus Kayla's band fees next week. He stretched his shoulders against the worn seat. The photo clipped to his visor caught the streetlight Tasha in her Sunday dress, that smile that could light up any room. 3 years gone, and he still talked to her sometimes during these late shifts. Just a few more rides, baby. The ping came through loud. Downtown, the Meridian Hotel. High fare estimate, probably airport run. Marcus accepted and merged into sparse traffic, his Camry's engine giving that familiar rattle around 40 miles per hour. Leon kept telling him to get it looked at, but mechanics cost money he didn't have. Downtown's glass towers reflected neon as he navigated toward the hotel's valet circle. The Meridian catered to business types, the kind who usually ignored drivers completely or spent rides barking into phones. Marcus pulled up behind a Bentley and spotted his passenger immediately. A woman in a black cocktail dress stood unsteadily near the valet stand, one hand braced against a marble pillar. Designer heels, diamond earrings catching the light. Even drunk, she looked like money, the kind that owned buildings, not the kind that rented them. Marcus put the car in park and stepped out. "Ms. Whitfield?" She turned too quickly, wobbling. Her clutch purse hit the pavement. "That's me. CEO of making stupid decisions, apparently." Her laugh came out bitter. She bent for the purse and nearly toppled. Marcus caught her elbow, steadying her with practiced ease, same way he'd helped wounded soldiers find their footing. "Let me get that for you." He retrieved the purse, noting the weight of it. "Where we heading tonight?" "Home. Away from these vultures. They smile and sharpen knives behind their teeth." She gestured vaguely north, Lakeshore Drive. The big, ugly, modern thing with too much glass. Marcus knew the building penthouse units started at $5 million. He opened the rear door, one hand hovering near her elbow in case she needed support. She collapsed into the back seat with a grunt. "You know what they said? After I built that company from nothing?" She didn't wait for an answer. "That maybe I need to reassess my leadership style." Translation: shut up about fair wages and driver protection. Marcus merged into traffic, keeping his speed steady. Drunk passengers could turn volatile or weepy without warning. Keep them talking, keep them calm, rules he'd learned his first month driving. "Sounds frustrating," he offered. "Graham, my CFO, he's got them convinced I'm too emotionally invested in the workforce. Like caring about humans is a liability." She laughed again, harsh. "Maybe it is. Maybe I should be more like him. Spreadsheets instead of souls." The Camry's rattling grew louder as they hit the highway. Marcus eased off the accelerator. $47 million in profits last quarter," she continued, words slurring together. "You know how much goes to the drivers who actually make it happen? Pennies. Pennies, while Graham talks about optimizing human capital." Marcus watched her in the rearview mirror, tears tracked through expensive makeup. "I'm sorry," she said suddenly. "You don't need my drama. You're just trying to work." "No worries, ma'am. Sometimes we all need to let it out. You know what's funny? You're the first person all day who hasn't wanted something from me. She rummaged in her clutch. What's your name? Marcus. Marcus. She said it like she was memorizing it. Marcus who listens without judging. Marcus who's probably got real problems, not boardroom theatrics. The exit for Lakeshore approached. Marcus signaled, taking the ramp smooth and easy. The lakefront condos rose like glass mountains against the dark water. That one, she pointed at a tower that seemed to scrape the clouds. The Temple of Isolation. Marcus pulled into the circular drive. A uniformed doorman started toward them, but Ava was already fumbling with her purse, pulling out a thick fold of cash. Here, she thrust the bills at him. 10,000, maybe more, I don't know. Take it. Marcus turned in his seat. Ma'am, I can't, please, you have no idea what tonight meant. Just having someone be decent. Take it. Her eyes were desperate, glassy with alcohol and something else, a loneliness that money couldn't touch. I'll take 5 stars and a prayer. Marcus kept his voice gentle but firm. Keep your money. She stared at him like he'd spoken a foreign language. You're serious? Yes, ma'am. You get home safe now. The doorman had reached them, opening Ava's door with practiced discretion. She climbed out, unsteady, still clutching the cash. Halfway to the building, she turned back, mouth open like she wanted to say something else. Then she was gone, the doorman guiding her through the gleaming lobby. Marcus noticed her purse on the seat. He grabbed it, jogged to the entrance. The doorman accepted it with a nod, and Marcus tucked it onto the lobby counter, where she'd see it in the morning. Back in his car, he exhaled long and slow. The fare showed $38. Not bad, but not enough to close the gap on rent. He drove toward home, the Camry rattling its familiar tune, unaware that the drunk CEO in the tower behind him would remember his kindness with a clarity that would change everything. The key stuck in the lock like always. Marcus jiggled it twice before the deadbolt gave way. Their apartment smelled like the vanilla candle Kayla insisted made everything feel homier, mixing with the lingering scent of last night's spaghetti. He eased the door shut, set his keys in the ceramic bowl Kayla had made in 4th grade lopsided, painted purple and gold for the Lakers. His bones ached, that deep tiredness that came from holding yourself alert for hours straight. Kayla's door stood cracked open. He pushed it wider, letting hallway light spill across her bed. She'd fallen asleep on top of the covers again, still in her school clothes, geometry textbook open beside her. The trumpet case sat on the floor, polished and ready for tomorrow's practice. Marcus pulled the quilt over her shoulders. She stirred, mumbled something about needing to practice scales, then settled back into sleep. 11 years old and already carrying the weight of wanting to be perfect. His bedroom felt too quiet. On the nightstand, Tasha smiled from behind glass, that photo from their anniversary trip to Wisconsin Dells, her laughing at something he'd said, sunset catching the gold in her eyes. 3 years gone next month, but sometimes he still reached for her side of the bed. Help me be enough, he whispered to the photo, to God, to whoever might be listening. She needs more than I got to give. Sleep came hard and left too soon. Dad, you gotta eat something. Marcus opened his eyes to Kayla standing beside his bed, holding a plate of toast and a glass of orange juice. Sunlight streamed through the blinds. What time is it? 6:30. I made breakfast. She set the plate on his nightstand with exaggerated care. The toast is only a little burnt. He sat up, rubbed his face. You're an angel, baby girl. An angel who needs $12 for the band trip Friday. She grinned, but he caught the worry underneath. Ms. Rodriguez says we're going to the symphony downtown. Real professional musicians. $12. Marcus took a bite of toast, definitely more than a little burnt. That's a lot of money for fancy people making noise. Dad? She swatted his shoulder. It's Beethoven. That's not noise, that's art. Oh, excuse me, Professor Ellison. He sipped the juice, watched her laugh. When'd you get so sophisticated? Since I started playing real music instead of your old-school jams. She grabbed her backpack from the corner. And don't think I didn't see you playing air drums to my practice yesterday. That was air conducting, totally different. She rolled her eyes but kissed his cheek. I'll figure out the $12. Maybe Mrs. Chen needs help with her garden again. Hey, he caught her hand. I'll handle it. You focus on those scales. You sure? When have I ever let you down? She squeezed his fingers. Never. After she left, Marcus sat at the kitchen table with his phone, scrolling through last night's earnings, 160, after Uber's cut. Not terrible, but the Camry's service light had been on for 3 weeks now. Oil change, tire rotation, brake check probably looking at 300 minimum. He dressed in his good jeans and the polo shirt without holes, headed to Mike's garage first. Mike took one look under the hood and shook his head. Marcus, you're pushing this engine hard. When's the last time you changed the transmission fluid? Been a while. I can patch you up for now, but you're looking at a rebuild soon. Maybe start thinking about another car. Another car? With what money? Marcus thanked Mike, promised to bring it back when he could afford the work. The Sunrise Diner sat between a laundromat and a tax office, the kind of place where coffee cost $1 and refills were free. Marcus slid into his usual booth by the window. Donna, who'd been working there since before Kayla was born, didn't even ask, just brought him black coffee and wheat toast. You look tired, honey, she said. Nothing new there. He was reaching for the sugar when the bell above the door chimed. A woman entered, pressed blazer, designer jeans, oversized sunglasses despite the gray morning. She looked lost, uncertain, scanning the diner like she'd never been in a place with vinyl seats. She approached Donna at the counter. Excuse me, I'm looking for someone. An Uber driver named Marcus? He dropped me off last night and I think he might come here. Marcus's coffee cup stopped halfway to his mouth. Donna glanced his way, eyebrows raised in question. He nodded. That'd be him right there, honey. Ava Whitfield turned. Even pale and drawn, probably nursing a spectacular hangover, she carried herself with purpose. She walked to his booth, stopped at the edge of his table. Marcus? Ms. Whitfield. He set down his cup. Everything all right? She slid into the opposite seat, uninvited, pulled off the sunglasses. Her eyes were red-rimmed but clear, focused in a way they hadn't been last night. I need to talk to you. Marcus gestured toward the door. There's tables outside. More private. The morning air carried a chill, but the patio was empty except for a couple of pigeons pecking at crumbs. Ava chose a table away from the street, pulled her blazer tighter. Coffee? He asked. God, yes, black. He went back inside, returned with 2 mugs. She wrapped her hands around hers like it might save her life. I owe you an apology, she said. You don't owe me anything. Please. She held up a hand. Let me get through this. I'm mortified about last night, the money, the crying, the whole pathetic display. You were having a rough night. We all have those. Not like that. She took a sip, winced. I don't usually. I had too much wine at dinner. Board politics, you don't need the details. But throwing money at you like that. She shook her head. That was insulting. I've had worse. That doesn't make it right. She reached into her bag, pulled out a manila folder. I couldn't sleep after I got home. Kept thinking about what you said. 5 stars and a prayer. Marcus watched her hands. No shake, no tremor. Stone cold sober now. Most people would have taken the money. She continued. 10,000 in cash. Drunk woman who wouldn't remember you could have pocketed it, and I'd never have known. That's not who I am. I know. That's why I'm here. She opened the folder, slid papers across the table. This is a pledge document. Had my lawyer draw it up this morning? Yes. At 5 a.m. The benefits of paying premium retainers. Marcus looked at the papers without touching them. Official letterhead, signatures, a notary seal. What is this? A scholarship fund. I'm calling it Rides to Rise. For children of rideshare drivers pursuing education. She tapped a highlighted section. Starting with your daughter. Full tuition, books, fees, everything through college. The mug slipped in his hand. Coffee sloshed onto the table. I already spoke with Uber's corporate philanthropy department, she continued, pulling out more papers. They're interested in partnering, matching funds for the first year. And this, another document, is a purchase order from Precision Automotive. They'll handle all your car's maintenance and repairs, already paid for. Marcus stared at the papers. The numbers didn't make sense. Couldn't make sense. Why? Because you reminded me that dignity matters more than money. She leaned back, looked tired despite her composure. I run a tech company. We optimize everything: routes, profits, human resources. Sometimes I forget that people aren't data points. This is too much. It's not enough, actually. Do you know what drivers really make after expenses? The wear on your car, the insurance, gas. Most of you are barely breaking even. We manage. You survive. There's a difference. She pushed the papers closer. This isn't charity, Marcus. It's an investment. In your daughter, in other drivers' kids, in the idea that work should lead somewhere better. He picked up the pledge document. Read it once, twice. The words stayed the same. Kayla's name was right there in black and white. What's the catch? No catch. The fund will be managed by a third party. You don't owe me anything, no publicity, no testimonials, nothing. Though I'd appreciate if you'd help identify other families who could benefit. Why my daughter? Because her father refused $10,000 at 2 a.m. Ava's voice softened. Because she's growing up watching you choose integrity over easy money. That kind of example is worth investing in. Marcus set down the papers. His hands were shaking now. I don't know what to say. Say you'll accept it. Let me do one decent thing this week. He thought about Kayla's trumpet, the band fees, the symphony trip. Thought about the collection notices he'd hidden in the kitchen drawer. Thought about Tasha, how she'd always believed their girl would go places. She wants to study music, he said, plays trumpet like you wouldn't believe. Then she should have that chance. This changes everything. That's the point. Ava stood, left a 20 on the table for the coffee. My contact information is in the folder. The mechanic is expecting you today. Ask for Tom. Tell him you're the Uber driver. He has instructions. Marcus stood too, extended his hand. Ms. Whitfield. Ava. Ava. Her handshake was firm, brief. Thank you doesn't seem like enough. Then don't say it. Just make sure Kayla gets to that symphony on Friday. She walked to a waiting town car, climbed in without looking back. Marcus stood there holding the folder, watching the car disappear into morning traffic. Back in the Camry, he spread the documents on the passenger seat. Read them again. The numbers were still impossible. He pulled out his phone, started to call Pastor Ruth, stopped, started to text Leon, deleted it. How did you even explain this? The drive home took forever and no time at all. He parked, sat in the car, staring at the apartment building. How was he supposed to tell Kayla? Hey, baby girl, remember that drunk lady from last night? She's paying for college. His phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Tom at Precision Auto confirms your appointment at 2 p.m. Full service package approved. Ava. Marcus clutched the folder to his chest. Felt something crack inside him, not breaking but opening. Like light getting in through boards he'd nailed over his heart after Tasha died. Thank you, he whispered to the empty car. To the universe. To whatever force had sent Ava Whitfield stumbling into his back seat 12 hours ago. The papers crinkled under his grip. Real paper, real signatures, real hope. He still had no idea how to tell Kayla. The evening shift started like any other. Marcus dropped Kayla at Greater Faith Baptist for youth night, her trumpet case bouncing against her leg as she ran up the church steps. Be good for Pastor Ruth, he called out. Always am. She disappeared through the heavy wooden doors. 3 rides in, things were normal. Airport run, bar pickup, couple heading to dinner. The Camry purred smoother after Tom's work, new oil, rotated tires, fixed that grinding noise in the brake pads. Marcus kept touching the receipt in his pocket. $0 owed. At the red light on Meridian, his phone lit up. Text from his neighbor, Mrs. Chen. "Marcus, is this you? You're famous." A link followed. He shouldn't check while driving, but the light was long. He tapped it. The video was grainy, shot from above. Mrs. Chen's new porch camera. There he was at 2 a.m, Ava wobbling on the sidewalk, shoving bills at him. The audio was muffled but clear enough. "Take it. 10,000, please." His own voice, steady. "I'll take 5 stars and a prayer. Keep your money." The light turned green. A horn blared behind him. Marcus tossed the phone aside and drove. At the next red light, he couldn't help himself. The video had 847 views. The comments section was a battlefield. "This man restored my faith in humanity. King behavior. Protect him at all costs." Probably new cameras were rolling. Nobody's that noble. Of course he didn't take it. Probably thought it was a setup. You know how they are about cops. Marcus's stomach twisted. He closed the app. 3 more rides. His phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Unknown numbers, social media notifications he didn't know how to turn off. A reporter from Channel 7 left a voicemail. Then Channel 4. Then someone from a podcast about everyday heroes. By 9 o'clock, he switched the app offline and headed home. The parking lot was wrong, too many cars, one with a news van's antenna. Marcus circled the block twice, parked 3 streets over, walked through the Thompsons' backyard, hopped the low fence like he was 20 again, not 52 with bad knees. His apartment door had business cards wedged in the frame. He grabbed them all, stuffed them in his pocket, locked the door behind him. The knock came 15 minutes later. "Mr. Ellison?" Jennifer Wu from Local 12. "We'd love to hear your story." He stayed silent. After 5 minutes, footsteps retreated down the hall. His phone rang. Pastor Ruth. "Marcus, you all right, Mrs. Chen called the church. Said there's reporters crawling all over your building. I'm home, keeping quiet." "Good, but Marcus." She paused, choosing words. "Don't hide from this. Not if God's using it for something bigger." "Using what? I just did my job." "You stood tall when money was waving in your face. That's rare these days. People need to see it." "People are seeing plenty. Half of them think I'm stupid for not taking it. Other half..." He didn't finish. Didn't need to. The ones spewing poison online, they were always there, Marcus. Difference is now they're showing themselves. But so are the good folks. Stand tall in truth. Let them see what integrity looks like. I need to pick up Kayla. Leon's already on it. She'll be home in 20 minutes. After Pastor Ruth hung up, Marcus sat in the dark living room. The folder from Ava was still on the coffee table. Real hope on paper, now tangled with this circus. His phone buzzed. Screenshot from Leon. Someone had started a GoFundMe. Support the honest Uber driver. Already at $3,000. Marcus didn't set it up. Didn't know who did. Didn't want their money. Footsteps in the hallway. His body tensed until he heard Kayla's laugh. Leon's deep voice. Key in the lock. "Dad," Sarah's mom said, "you're internet famous. Can I see?" "Later, baby girl." "You eat at church?" "Pizza and carrots." Pastor Ruth made me eat the carrots first. She dropped her trumpet case, bounced to the couch. "Is it true? About the money?" Leon stood in the doorway, gave Marcus a look. "You good?" Marcus nodded. Leon squeezed his shoulder, left quietly. "Yeah, it's true. Why didn't you take it?" How to explain? That taking that money would have made him smaller somehow. That dignity wasn't for sale. That he wanted her to grow up knowing the difference between earning and taking. Wasn't mine to take. She studied him with those eyes that looked too much like Tasha's. Kids at church said their parents would have taken it. Maybe they would have. But not you. Not me. She hugged him then, fierce and sudden. "I'm glad you're my dad." Later, after her teeth were brushed and prayers said, Marcus sat beside her bed. The trumpet gleamed on her nightstand next to Tasha's photo. "Dad, are we going to be okay? With all the people asking questions?" "We're going to be fine." Sarah's mom said to be careful. Said sometimes being famous makes things harder. 11 years old and already learning that attention could be dangerous. He smoothed her braids. "You just focus on school and that symphony Friday. Let me worry about the rest." She was asleep in minutes. Marcus stayed, watching her breathe. The scholarship papers were real. The circus outside was real. The ugly comments online were real. But so was this. His daughter, safe and dreaming, proud of him for doing right. His phone lit up with another notification. Another reporter, another comment section, catching fire. Tomorrow he'd have to face it all, the cameras, the questions, the weight of being suddenly visible. Tonight, though, he just sat in the dim light of Kayla's room, guarding her sleep. Marcus woke before his alarm, 5:30. Habit from 20 years of early shifts. Coffee first, then check the app. Maybe yesterday was just a bad dream. The red banner hit like a sledgehammer. Account under review, suspended pending investigation into possible policy violations. He set the phone down, picked it up, read it again. The words didn't change. Policy violations. What policy? Taking too little money? He clicked through, searching for details. Generic corporate language about unusual financial activity and platform integrity. No timeline, no contact. Just frozen. The math was simple and brutal. No driving meant no income. Rent was due in 12 days. Kayla's band fees next week. Groceries, electric, the car payment he was already behind on. His emergency fund, Tasha would have laughed at calling it, that had $240. Marcus opened Lyft. Same red banner. They'd coordinated, or maybe one triggered the other. Either way, both lifelines were cut. 300 miles away, Ava faced her own ambush. The boardroom smelled like leather and disappointment. 9 faces around the mahogany table, most avoiding her eyes. Graham Pierce stood at the presentation screen, laser pointer in hand like a weapon. The viral video has been viewed 14 million times. Click. Our stock dipped 3% in overnight trading. Click. And now this, a $250,000 commitment made without board approval. It's a charitable pledge, Graham. We donate more than that to golf tournaments. Golf tournaments don't involve intoxicated CEOs throwing money at drivers. His smile was arctic. The optics are devastating. Board member Harrison, old money from Boston, cleared his throat. Ava, we're concerned about your judgment. This incident raises questions. What questions? That I tried to make something right? That you exposed the company to liability. Graham cut in. What if this driver sues, claims coercion, says you created a hostile situation? Marcus Ellison refused $10,000. Does that sound like someone angling for a lawsuit? It sounds like someone smart enough to play a longer game. The words hung there, poisonous. You're suggesting he planned this? Graham shrugged. I'm suggesting we can't afford not to investigate. The shareholders will demand accountability. Harrison's voice was firm. Graham's right. We need an independent review. Your interactions with this driver, the pledge, all of it. And, during the review? Silence. Then Harrison again. You'll continue your duties, but no public statements about this matter, no contact with Mr. Ellison. And the Rides to Rise Fund is frozen pending investigation. You're punishing him for my choice. We're protecting the company, Graham said. Something you seem to have forgotten how to do. Ava looked around the table. These people she'd built an empire with, now studying their portfolios, their phones, anything but her face. Marcus Ellison served 3 tours in Afghanistan. He's raising a daughter alone. He works 16-hour days to keep a roof over their heads, and when a drunk executive tried to throw money at him, he had the dignity to refuse. If protecting the company means destroying someone like that, then maybe we need to ask what we're protecting. That's exactly the kind of emotional response that concerns us, Graham said. The meeting ended with protocols and procedures, subcommittees and timelines. Ava left with her head high, stomach churning. In the elevator, she wanted to call Marcus, warn him, apologize. But the lawyers had been clear: no contact. Marcus made spaghetti because it was cheap, and Kayla loved it. $2 of pasta, $3 of sauce, dollar store breadsticks, $6 for dinner, and she'd never know they were in trouble. How was school? Good. We're learning about the civil rights movement. Did you know Rosa Parks was a seamstress? Not just someone who was tired? Is that right? She planned it. The whole thing. Being brave on purpose is harder than being brave by accident, from the mouths of babes. Marcus stirred the sauce, added extra oregano from the packet he'd saved from last week's pizza order. Dad, why aren't you driving tonight? No lying to her. Never had, never would. The app company needs to review something, paperwork stuff. Might take a few days. Because of the video? Probably. She twisted spaghetti on her fork, thinking, is it because you didn't take the money? I don't know, baby. That doesn't make sense. You did the right thing. Sometimes doing right gets complicated. That's stupid. Don't say stupid. Okay. That's, she searched for a word, unfair. Yeah, it is. They ate quietly for a minute, then Kayla set down her fork. Are we going to be okay? Of course we are. Dad. The way she said it, like Tasha used to when she saw through his brave face. It's tight. But we've been tight before. I can skip symphony. The trip, I mean. It's $50. You're not skipping symphony. But non-negotiable, young lady. You're going to that symphony if I have to sell everything but your trumpet. She smiled, small but real. We'll be okay, Daddy. God's got us. Where did an 11-year-old find that kind of faith? Marcus reached across their small table, squeezed her hand. Yeah, he does. After dinner, after homework and dishes and bedtime prayers, Marcus opened his laptop. Maybe there was news, some update, anything. One new email from Uber. His chest tightened as he clicked. Dear Mr. Ellison, your account review is underway. Due to the complex nature of this investigation and the high visibility of the incident, we estimate the review process may take up to 30 days. During this time, your account will remain suspended. We appreciate your patience. Trust and Safety Team, 30 days. His hand shook as he closed the laptop. 30 days without income. Rent would be late. Electric would get shut off. The car god. If he lost the car, he lost everything. Marcus sat in the dark kitchen, doing math that wouldn't work no matter how many times he ran it. Somewhere, Ava Whitfield was probably in a boardroom defending him. Somewhere, strangers were arguing about him online. But here, in this 2-bedroom apartment with the dripping faucet and the neighbor's TV too loud through the wall, there was just a man trying to figure out how to keep the lights on for 30 days. 2 days crawled by like weeks. Marcus fixed everything that didn't cost money, tightened the kitchen faucet, patched the screen door, reorganized the closet twice. When Pastor Ruth called about the potluck, he almost said no. Don't make me come get you, Marcus Ellison. It's not a charity case, Ruth. It's casserole and conversation. Bring Kayla. 6 o'clock. The church basement smelled like it always had: coffee, lemon cleaner, and whatever the Wednesday night Bible study group had cooked last. 3 long tables covered in mismatched cloths, folding chairs in circles, fluorescent lights that hummed prayers of their own. Leon got there first, carrying mac and cheese in a disposable pan. Made it myself, box instructions and everything. Drivers trickled in: Jorge from El Salvador, who drove days while his wife worked nights. Diane, retired teacher supplementing her pension. Amit, software engineer between jobs. All of them with stories. 3 complaints in 1 week, Jorge said. All from the same passenger with different accounts. They deactivated me for 2 months. Mine was a glitch, Diane added. System said I was in Chicago when I've never left the state. Took 6 weeks to fix. Marcus sat with Kayla, letting their stories wash over him. These weren't just drivers. They were parents, veterans, immigrants, neighbors, all one bad rating from disaster. The basement door opened, conversation stopped. Ava Whitfield stood at the entrance in jeans and a plain sweater, holding a grocery store pie. No power suit, no entourage. Just a woman looking unsure if she belonged. Pastor Ruth crossed the room. "You came. You invited me. Didn't think you'd show. Neither did I." Ruth took the pie, guided Ava to an empty chair. The circle shifted, made space. Suspicious eyes tracked her movements. "I'm just here to listen," Ava said. And she did. Through Jorge's story about missing his daughter's recital because of a false complaint, through Amit's calculation of how much the platform took versus how much drivers kept, through Diane's tears when she described choosing between gas and groceries, Ava didn't interrupt, didn't explain, didn't defend. She listened. "Why are you really here?" Leon finally asked what everyone wondered. Ava set down her paper plate, untouched chicken growing cold. "Because I thought I could fix things with money alone. Write a check, feel better about myself, move on." She looked at Marcus. "But that's not fixing anything. It's just buying absolution. So what do you want?" Marcus kept his voice level. "To actually help, if you'll let me." "We don't need saviors," someone muttered. "You're right. You don't." Ava pulled out a notebook. "Nothing fancy. But you need advocates. People who can get in rooms you can't. Who can translate your stories into language board members understand." "You mean sanitize them," Marcus said. "No, amplify them." The room stayed quiet. Then Kayla, who'd been drawing in the corner, spoke up. "You believed my dad first." Everyone turned to her. "When everyone online was being mean, you came to our house. You believed he was good before you knew anything else." Ava's eyes watered. "Your dad made that easy to believe. So, believe all of them too," Kayla said, pointing at the circle. "They're all good." From the mouths of babes again. Leon broke the silence. "What would this look like? This advocacy thing?" "I don't know yet," Ava admitted. "That's why I'm here. To learn what you actually need, not what I think you need." The room erupted in suggestions. Better appeals process, transparency in ratings, protection from false complaints, basic benefits, dignity. Marcus watched Ava scribble notes, asking follow-ups, learning their language. This wasn't the drunk executive from 5 nights ago. This wasn't even the composed woman from the diner. This was someone trying to shrink herself small enough to fit in their space. "We could pilot something," Ava said eventually. "Start local. If it works, pressure other markets to adopt it." "Pilot what?" Diane asked. "Whatever you design. Driver-led, driver-designed. I'd just be technical support." "Rich technical support," Leon corrected. "That too." Pastor Ruth stood. "Let's pray on it. Join hands." The circle connected. Ava's manicured fingers between Jorge's calloused ones and Diane's weathered grip. Marcus ended up across from her, Kayla's hand in his. "Lord," Ruth began, "you put us in each other's paths for reasons we don't always understand. Help us see past hurt to hope, past suspicion to possibility. Show us how to build something real." "Amen. Amen," the room echoed. As people packed up leftovers, Ava approached Marcus. "I need someone who understands both worlds, driving and advocacy. Someone people trust. You offering me a job? I'm offering you a partnership, consulting role. Help shape whatever this becomes. I don't know anything about corporate advocacy. You know about dignity." "That's enough." Marcus looked at Kayla, already at the dessert table with Leon, laughing at something. Bills waited at home. Pride wrestled with necessity. "I'll think about it. That's all I'm asking." Walking home under streetlights that flickered like urban stars, Kayla swung their joined hands. "She's different than I thought." "Yeah?" "Sad different. Like she needs friends. Rich people have friends. Real friends, Dad, the kind who tell you when you have food in your teeth. Marcus squeezed her hand. You're too smart for 11. So you'll help her? With the driver thing? Maybe. Dad. What? When God opens a door, you're supposed to walk through it. Where'd you hear that? Pastor Ruth. Every Sunday for ever. Above them, the lights kept flickering. Behind them, the church basement was going dark. But ahead, something new glowed. Not bright yet, not clear, but possible. Maybe God is opening something, Marcus whispered. Definitely, Kayla said. Definitely he is. Marcus woke at 5:30, body trained by years of early shifts. Through the thin wall, he heard Kayla humming while brushing her teeth. Same tune she'd been practicing for weeks, something jazzy her band teacher assigned. Breakfast in 5, he called. Already made it, she sang back. He found scrambled eggs waiting, slightly brown at the edges. She'd set 2 places with their mismatched plates, even folded the paper towels into triangles. What's the occasion? You have your big meeting. She slid into her seat. With Miss Whitfield. It's just talking, Dad. That look again, too knowing for 6th grade. It's never just talking when people take notes. After dropping her at school early for jazz band, Marcus headed to the library. The morning air carried that Midwest chill that warned winter wasn't done yet. He found Ava in the back conference room, laptop open, coffee cups already multiplying. I brought mock-ups, she said without preamble. The slides looked expensive. Clean fonts, professional photos of smiling drivers, rides to Rise curved across the top in hopeful blue. Emergency funds for drivers facing hardship, she read. Safety kits with dash cams and first aid supplies. Scholarship program for drivers' children. Stop. She looked up. That's charity, Marcus said. We need justice. Explain. He pulled out his phone, opened his driver app. See this rating? 4.7 stars. Sounds good, right? But if it drops to 4.6, I get fewer rides. 4.5, I'm basically invisible to the algorithm. 1 angry passenger, 1 false complaint, and I can't feed my kid. Ava started typing. What drivers need isn't emergency funds after we're deactivated. We need a fair appeals process so we don't get deactivated unfairly in the first place. Keep going. Transparency in how ratings affect us. Real humans reviewing complaints, not just algorithms. Time limits on investigations, 30 days without income, is a death sentence for most of us. She kept typing, asking questions. What about safety? Background checks? Insurance gaps? They worked through lunch. Marcus translating driver reality into language that could survive boardrooms. Ava learned fast, dropping corporate speak for plainer words. This could work, she said around 2. 0. But we need driver stories, real ones. Faces to go with the data. You got plenty last night. I need them documented, verified. Legal's going to want everything bulletproof. Marcus thought of Jorge, Diane, Leon. They won't trust lawyers. They trust you. The weight of that settled between them. His phone buzzed. School pickup time. Tomorrow? Ava asked. Yeah, tomorrow. That evening, while Marcus cooked spaghetti, Kayla sat at their small table with her good paper, the kind without lines. What you writing? Thank you note. Pastor Ruth says we should always write thank you notes. She hunched over the paper, tongue poking out in concentration. Her handwriting was careful, the letters trying hard to stay straight. Can I read it? She slid it over. Dear Ms. Whitfield, thank you for believing my dad is good. Most rich people don't look at drivers like they're real people. But you came to our church and listened. You believed my dad first, and that made me believe big people can be kind too. My dad thinks I don't know about money troubles, but I do. I hear him pray at night. Your scholarship means I can stay in band and maybe go to college like Mom wanted. Please don't let mean people online make you stop helping. Sometimes doing right makes people mad. Pastor Ruth taught me that. Love, Kayla Ellison P. S. My dad is teaching me that dignity matters more than money, but money for groceries matters too. Marcus's throat tightened. Is it okay? Kayla asked. It's perfect, baby. You want to mail it? Can you give it to her? At your meeting? The next morning, Marcus handed Ava the envelope before they started. She read it twice, then sat very still. She's 11? Old soul. Can I? Ava paused. My communications team needs to see this, not to publish. Just to understand what we're really doing here. That's Kayla's letter. I won't share it without permission. But Marcus, this captures something all my slides can't. That afternoon, Marcus asked Kayla. If it helps Dad's friends, yes, she said simply. By evening, something had shifted. Marcus's phone lit up with notifications. Leon called first. You see this? The letter was everywhere. Angel's note goes viral. 11-year-old teaches CEO about kindness. Driver's daughter becomes voice of movement. Marcus's stomach dropped. How? Someone leaked it, Leon said. But Marcus, people are crying reading this. Donations pouring in. Other drivers sharing their kids' stories. Kayla found him sitting on the couch, phone in hand. Did I do something wrong? He pulled her close. No, baby, your words are just powerful. Is that bad? I don't know yet. His phone rang. Ava, I didn't leak it, she said immediately. I'm investigating who did. Doesn't matter now. Marcus, I'm sorry, but look at the comments. Your daughter just humanized every gig worker in America. Outside their window, evening fell like a curtain. Somewhere in the city, Jorge was probably starting his shift. Diane was choosing between gas and groceries. Drivers Marcus didn't even know were reading his daughter's words. Dad? Kayla touched his hand. Remember what Pastor Ruth says about seeds? What about them? You plant them in the dark. They grow toward light. Maybe my letter was supposed to grow. 11 years old. Old soul indeed. His phone buzzed again. Another reporter, another request. Another door opening whether he wanted it or not. 3 days after Kayla's letter exploded online, Marcus stood in a conference room that cost more than his apartment's yearly rent. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city. The coffee alone smelled expensive. Just be yourself, the media trainer said, her smile practiced as plastic fruit. Marcus tugged at his collar. The lights were too bright, the camera too close. Tell us about that night with Ms. Whitfield. I picked up a passenger who needed to get home safe. That's the job. But the money wasn't mine to take. Cut. The trainer's smile tightened. Marcus, we need more warmth. You're coming across defensive. Ava watched from the corner, arms crossed. They tried again, and again, each take worse than the last. Why do you drive? The honest answer caught in his throat because Tasha's medical bills ate their savings, because disability doesn't cover enough, because proud men do what they must. I'm no angel, just a man trying not to drown. Silence cracked like ice. That's dark, the trainer said. Can we try? That's enough. Ava stepped forward. Marcus, let's take a break. The PR consultants huddled, whispering. Marcus caught fragments. Too raw. Liability needs polish. He's fine as he is, Ava said sharply. With respect, Ms. Whitfield, the optics are that an honest man told the truth. If that doesn't play, we've got bigger problems. She guided Marcus out, past cubicles of people who looked up from screens to stare. The diner was nothing special. Cracked vinyl booths, coffee that tasted like coffee, real cream in little metal pitchers. Marcus relaxed the moment they walked in. Better? Much. He doctored his coffee, 2 sugars, splash of cream. Sorry about back there. Don't apologize for being human. Their food came fast. Meatloaf for him, grilled cheese for her. She ate like someone who'd been hungry before, neat, thorough, nothing wasted. Can I ask about Tasha? The question should have stung. Didn't. Breast cancer. Found it late. She never liked doctors, said she'd had enough of hospitals raising 4 babies. By the time she felt the lump, He pushed peas around his plate. 22 months from diagnosis to the end. Kayla was 9, 8 when it started, 11 when... Yeah. She seems remarkably grounded. Tasha's doing, even dying. That woman poured love into our girl, made videos for every birthday till 18. Wrote letters for graduation, wedding day, first heartbreak. Ava's grilled cheese sat forgotten. She sounds extraordinary. She was. Marcus managed to smile. Your turn. The foster care thing that, why you push so hard? Ava straightened, the CEO mask sliding up. Then, just as quick, she let it drop. 7 homes in 10 years, some decent, some not. You learn early that nobody's coming to save you, but somebody did? Ms. Darlene, last foster mother, tough as boot leather, faithful as sunrise. She's the one who said I had a brain worth using. Ava's voice caught. Haven't talked to her in 5 years. Success has a way of making you forget who helped you stand. Not too late. Maybe not. They sat with that truth between them, comfortable in shared damage. Marcus's phone buzzed. Leon. Need to take this? My buddy. He doesn't call unless... Marcus answered. Yeah? We got a problem. Leon's voice was tight. That CFO of your lady friend's, Graham, something, he's been asking around. Asking what? About you, your record, that bar fight from 3. Marcus's coffee turned to acid in his stomach. Who's he talking to? Everyone. Offered Danny $500 cash for dirt. Danny told him to pound sand, but others might not. Thanks for the heads up. He hung up. Ava was watching him. Graham's investigating me. Her face went cold, not surprised, angry. That sounds like him. There's something he'll find. Bar fight. First year back from deployment. Guy said something about ragheads and I lost it. Misdemeanor assault. Paid my fine, did my service. Been clean since. Marcus, it's what they'll use. Violent veteran. You know the headlines write themselves. Ava pulled out her phone, typed rapidly. What are you doing? Texting my lawyer. If Graham wants to play dirty, he better be squeaky clean himself. Don't start a war over me. She looked up, eyes hard as winter. The war started when he questioned my judgment publicly. You're just his latest weapon. The waitress refilled their coffee. Normal sounds of a normal diner surrounded them, order bells, scraping chairs, somebody laughing at the counter. But Marcus felt the ground shifting, tectonic plates of power and money grinding against each other with him caught between. Why? He asked. Why's he coming after both of us? Because we're proof his worldview is wrong. That people matter more than profit margins. That a driver can have more integrity than a CFO. She smiled grimly. Graham's got plans for the company. A merger that would gut everything decent we've built. He needs me weak and you gone. So what do? We don't let him win. Simple words. The kind Tasha would have said, chin up, eyes bright with fight. Okay? Okay? Lady, I've faced worse than some suit with a spreadsheet. That got a real smile. First one he'd seen from her. His phone lit up. Another reporter. Another request. They're not going away, Ava said. Nope. That training today, forget all of it. Just be who you are. The man who drove my drunk ass home safe and wouldn't take my guilt money. Marcus chuckled. That's your media strategy? Truth usually is. The church basement smelled like coffee and old hymnals. Circle of metal chairs, American flag in the corner, hand-lettered sign, veteran support, Saturday 7 p.m., all welcome. Marcus hadn't wanted to come. Pastor Ruth hadn't given him a choice. Ava needs to understand who she's fighting for, she'd said, and you need to stop carrying that weight alone. Now here they sat, him in his good jeans, Ava in slacks and a simple sweater. She'd left the designer purse at home. First time? Asked Tommy, missing his left arm from the elbow down. Afghanistan, 2009. She's with me, Marcus said. Any friend of Marcus's family here. Tommy offered his right hand to Ava. He saved my boy's life in Kandahar. Wouldn't leave him even when, Tommy, Marcus's voice carried warning, right. His story to tell. The circle filled slowly. 8 veterans, 2 spouses, Pastor Ruth, and now Ava. Coffee got poured. Cookies made rounds, store-bought. But nobody complained. Who wants to start? Pastor Ruth never pushed, just opened the door. Silence stretched. Then Marcus surprised himself. I'll go. Every eye turned. 3 years attending, he'd never shared. Not the real stuff. Forward Operating Base Chapman, 2007. His hands found each other, fingers locking. Routine patrol went bad fast. IED took out our lead vehicle. We took fire from 3 positions. The basement faded. He was back in that heat, that dust. My job was keeping people alive. That's what medics do. But there was this kid, Private Morrison, 19, from Iowa. Loved baseball more than breathing. Marcus's throat tightened. Ava sat still as stone. He was hit bad, gut shot, bleeding out. I needed to get to him, but the fire was like rain, horizontal rain made of metal. And I froze. Someone shifted in their chair. The sound brought him back, then sent him away again. Not for long, maybe 10 seconds. But in combat, 10 seconds is. He shook his head. When I finally moved, got to him, he was looking at me, trying to say something. His mom's name, maybe. Did he make it? This from Janet, whose son was somewhere in Syria. Yeah, he made it, lost a kidney, bunch of intestine, but he made it. Coaches Little League now. So you saved him, Tommy said, after I froze. Those 10 seconds he suffered longer because I couldn't move. Brother, Tommy leaned forward, everybody freezes. First time, 5th time, 50th time, fear's not the enemy. Staying frozen is. I still see his eyes sometimes, wondering why I wasn't there faster. Pastor Ruth's voice came soft. Grace covers those 10 seconds, Marcus. Grace and Morrison coaching Little League. The circle held the silence, holy and heavy. Then Ava spoke. I froze too. Different war. Everybody turned. Foster home number 4. I was 11. The dad came into my room one night. Her voice stayed level, reporting facts. I knew what was happening. Knew I should scream, fight, something. But I just left my body, floated up to the ceiling and watched this girl who looked like me, not moving, not making a sound. Janet reached over, touched Ava's hand. Nothing happened. His wife came home early. Car headlights in the driveway saved me. But those minutes of freezing, of not fighting. She looked at Marcus. They shape you. Make you promise never to be helpless again. That why you work so hard? Pastor Ruth asked gently. Work is control. Money is safety. Success means nobody can make you freeze again. Ava laughed, bitter. Except they can. Board meeting last week? When Graham suggested I was being emotional about the driver fund? I froze. Just for a second, 11-year-old me all over again. But you unfroze, Marcus said. Eventually. That's all any of us can do. Their eyes met across the circle. Understanding passed between them, not pity, but recognition. Fellow soldiers from different battles. Tommy cleared his throat. Well, since we're sharing. And he told his story about the convoy, the ambush, the choice between his arm and his buddy's life. Stories flowed like communion wine, each one different, all the same moments when humanity broke and mended, when courage meant moving through the freeze. When they closed with the serenity prayer, Ava's lips moved with the words, outside? November air bit sharp. They walked to Marcus's Camry, breath clouding between them. Thank you, Ava said, for letting me witness that. Pastor Ruth's idea. Still, his phone buzzed. Kayla. Hey, baby girl. Daddy. Don't forget my concert's Thursday, 7 o'clock. I'm doing the solo for What a Wonderful World. Wouldn't miss it. Can you invite Ms. Ava? Please? She helped with band fees. She should hear what she paid for. Marcus glanced at Ava, who was pretending not to listen. I'll ask her. Promise? Promise. He hung up. Thursday night, middle school band concert. Kayla wants you there. I'd be honored. They reached the car. Before Marcus could open her door, his phone rang again. Leon. Yeah? You sitting down? Just walking to the car? What's up? Remember I've been digging about that CFO? Found something. Internal email chain. Somebody at Ava's company definitely leaked that porch footage. Marcus went still. Ava noticed, stepped closer. Who? Can't tell exactly, but the timing had happened right after that board meeting where he challenged her publicly. Thanks, brother. Marcus hung up, turned to Ava. Leon found evidence. The leak came from inside your company. Her face didn't change. I know. You know? Suspected. Graham's too smart to leave fingerprints, but this has his stench all over it. She pulled her coat tighter. He wants me out. You're just collateral damage. So what's the play? Let him think he's winning. Meanwhile, I document everything. That's it? Marcus, men like Graham always overreach. We just have to be ready when he does. Thunder rumbled somewhere west. Storm coming. Get in, Marcus said. I'll drive you home. In the car, heat struggling against cold, Ava asked, Those 10 seconds in combat, do they still haunt you? Every day. But you still moved. Eventually. That's what I'm trying to do now. Move through the freeze. The city lights blurred past. Marcus thought about Morrison coaching Little League, Kayla playing trumpet, Ava fighting boards and CFOs and foster care ghosts. Everybody had their 10 seconds. Their frozen moments. The brave ones unfroze. Eventually, the encrypted email arrived Tuesday morning, while Ava was reviewing quarterly reports. No sender name, just a string of numbers. Ms. Whitfield, I work 3 desks from your office. Can't say more. Check the merger files dated the night before the video leaked. Cross-reference with PR contractor invoices. Graham's assistant logged overtime that night. The merger strips driver classification protections. He needs you gone to push it through. Be careful. Ava read it twice, then called Marcus. Can you meet? Now? 20 minutes later, they sat in his parked Camry outside a coffee shop, engine running for heat. Ava handed him her phone. Marcus read slowly, jaw tightening. This merger, what exactly would it do? Reclassify all gig workers as independent micro-enterprises. Sounds fancy, but it means no injury protection, no appeals process, nothing. Graham's been pushing it for months. Board likes the profit margins. And you've been blocking it? Every quarter. She took the phone back. If I'm out, it passes. Your suspension? The leaked video, it's all about making me look unstable. Marcus stared through the windshield at people entering the coffee shop, normal lives continuing. So, fixing my situation means protecting yours. They're the same situation now. A bus rumbled past, advertisement for injury lawyers on its side. Marcus almost laughed at the irony. This whistleblower, can we trust them? I don't know. But those details about Graham's assistant, the PR invoices, that's not public information. What if it's a trap? Graham feeding you false leads? Ava considered this. Possible. But my gut says someone in that building has a conscience. Guts get people killed. So does inaction. They sat with that truth between them. Finally, Marcus asked, What do you need from me? Nothing yet. Just be ready. If this gets uglier, and it will, I need to know you won't back down. I've got Kayla to think about. I know. That's why I'm asking. Marcus's hands gripped the steering wheel. Through the coffee shop window, he watched a father helping his young son with homework, pencil guiding small fingers. I won't back down. But we do this clean. No lies, no games. Agreed. That evening, Marcus's apartment filled with brass notes as Kayla practiced her solo. She'd transformed the living room into a practice hall, music stand positioned just so, Tasha's photo turned to watch. From the top, Marcus coached from the couch. Remember, it's not about perfect notes. It's about telling the story. Kayla lifted the trumpet. took a breath, began. The opening notes of What a Wonderful World floated through their small space, transforming walls into sky. She stumbled on the bridge. "Sorry, Daddy." "Don't apologize. Just play through it." She started again. This time, when she hit the trouble spot, she pushed through, imperfect, but continuing. The melody found its feet again, soared. When she finished, Marcus applauded. "Better? Beautiful. Really. Really. Ms. Morrison would be proud. Mom would be too, right? She's probably humming along right now." Kayla carefully cleaned her trumpet, ritual precise. "Is Ms. Ava really coming Thursday?" "She said she would." "Good. I want her to hear this. She made it possible." Marcus watched his daughter polish brass that already gleamed, 11 years old, carrying so much grace. He thought about the merger, Graham, the whistleblower's warning. Storms coming from all directions. Lord, give me wisdom. Show me the next right step. Protect this child. "Daddy, you okay?" "Just thinking." "About Mom?" "About a lot of things." Kayla set down her trumpet, came to sit beside him. "Pastor Ruth says, when we got too many thoughts, we should give them to God one at a time. Like sorting laundry. Pastor Ruth's smart, so start sorting." Marcus pulled her close. Through the window, city lights sparkled like scattered promises. "You know what? You're right. Let's sort." But his phone buzzed before they could begin. Ava calling. "Hey, check your voicemail. Now. Both of us need to hear this." Marcus put her on speaker, dialed voicemail. A processed voice, disguised but clear. "Ms. Whitfield, final warning. Drop the driver advocacy program. Distance yourself from Marcus Ellison. Or tomorrow morning, every news outlet gets the full police report from his bar fight. The real details. The ones that got buried. Veterans attacking civilians doesn't play well. Neither does a CEO who consorts with violent criminals. You have 12 hours. The message ended. Kayla's eyes went wide. "Daddy, what bar fight?" Marcus's chest tightened. That night, first year home from deployment, the flashback, the broken bottle, the blood. Charges dropped, record sealed, but Graham had found it anyway. "Baby, go practice in your room for a bit. But please." She gathered her trumpet, threw worried glances as she left. Marcus took the phone off speaker. "He's got my sealed record." "I know. This ends my driving for good. Maybe costs me custody." "I know. You should distance yourself." "No, Ava. No. We don't abandon soldiers under fire." Thunder rolled closer now, real storm meeting the metaphorical one. "This is my battle, not yours," Marcus said. "Wrong. This is our battle." Graham just confirmed it. Through Kayla's door, muffled trumpet notes still practicing, pushing through difficult passages. Marcus closed his eyes, saw Morrison's face again, those 10 seconds of freeze, the choice to move anyway. "Okay, we fight. Together?" Together. Lightning flashed, illuminating everything for one brilliant second, the small apartment, the photos of Tasha, Kayla's music stand, Marcus's worn hands, and through the window, Ava's office building in the distance, where Graham was probably planning his next attack. The battle was personal now. Good. Personal fights were the ones worth winning. Saturday arrived wrapped in autumn gold. The community center hummed with life before the doors even opened. Volunteers, stringing banners, testing microphones, arranging chairs in hopeful rows. Marcus adjusted his tie for the 3rd time. His good suit, the one from Tasha's funeral, now worn for celebration. "Daddy, you're gonna wear out the fabric," Kayla said, trumpet case in hand. She wore her concert dress, the navy one with silver buttons that caught light. "Just want to look right. You always look right to me." Pastor Ruth swept past, carrying programs. "Doors open in 10 minutes. Marcus, you're sitting up front." "I'd rather up front." Her tone left no room for argument. Leon wheeled in cases of water bottles. "Place is already packed outside. Saw 3 news vans." "Graham?" Marcus asked. No sign of him, probably plotting from his tower. Through the window, Marcus watched families arrive. Drivers he recognized from years of waiting at airport queues, veterans from the support group, Mrs. Chen from the corner store, bringing her whole extended family. Ava entered through the side door, professional but warm, in a simple blue dress. No power suit today. She caught Marcus's eye, nodded. They'd agreed stay focused on the celebration, deal with Graham's threats later. "Places, everyone," Pastor Ruth commanded. The doors opened. People flooded in, filling seats, lining walls. The banner stretched across the stage, "Rides to Rise, Building Roads to Tomorrow." Marcus took his front row seat, Kayla beside him. Behind them, conversations in a dozen languages, the real sound of the city's workforce. Pastor Ruth took the microphone. "Before we begin, let's remember why we're here. Not for programs or policies, but for people, for dignity, for the belief that every worker deserves respect, every child deserves opportunity." "Amen," rose from the crowd. "Now, I want to invite someone special to open our celebration, Kayla Ellison, whose letter reminded us all what courage looks like." Kayla squeezed Marcus's hand, then walked to the stage. She positioned her music stand, lifted her trumpet. The room fell silent. The first notes of "You'll Never Walk Alone" floated out, clear and true. Her tone, which had wobbled in practice, now soared steady. She played not to impress, but to bless, each phrase a prayer. "Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain." Marcus watched Ava dab her eyes. Hardened drivers sniffled. Even Leon cleared his throat roughly. "At the end of the storm, there's a golden sky." Kayla held the final note, let it fade into sacred silence. The applause started slowly, then thundered. She bowed, smiled directly at Marcus, then at Ava. "Thank you, baby," Pastor Ruth said into the mic, voice thick. "Now, our honor guard." 4 veterans entered in dress uniforms. Marcus stood with other vets as they presented colors. The anthem played. Hands over hearts, voices joining, unity in the simple act of honoring the flag. Ava took the stage as the honor guard retired. "6 weeks ago, a man showed me grace I didn't deserve. He refused my drunken money but protected my dignity. That man, Marcus Ellison, changed my perspective on what leadership means." Marcus felt eyes on him, kept his gaze forward. "Today, we launch more than a program. We launch a promise. Every driver who partners with us will have access to emergency funds, safety equipment, and scholarship opportunities for their children. We're committing $5 million in matching funds," gasps rippled through the crowd, "and working with platform companies to establish fair appeal processes, transparent rating systems, and dignity standards." She outlined specifics: response times for appeals, safety kit distributions, scholarship application processes. Real help, not hollow promises. But before we continue, representatives from Uber Corporate have something to say. 2 executives Marcus didn't recognize approached the stage. The woman spoke first. "Mr. Ellison, would you join us?" His legs felt wooden walking up. Kayla's "Go, Daddy," pushed him forward. "Mr. Ellison, after thorough review, we owe you an apology. Your suspension was unjust. Your service record, both military and civilian, is exemplary." The man held out a framed certificate. "We're reinstating you immediately, with back pay for lost time, and naming you our first partner advisory board member." Marcus took the frame with steady hands. The crowd erupted. Someone started chanting, "Marcus! Marcus!" Others joined. He stood there, overwhelmed, until Kayla ran up and hugged him. That broke the dam. Tears came freely. "Thank you," he managed into the mic. "But this isn't just about me. It's about every driver who's been unfairly suspended. Every worker fighting for dignity. We keep fighting for them." More applause. Pastor Ruth offered a closing blessing, hands raised over the assembly. "Lord, bless these hands that drive, these hearts that serve. Make this program a beacon. Multiply this goodness until justice rolls down like water. Amen. Music started. Leon had brought speakers. People mingled, ate sandwiches, volunteers provided, shared stories. Marcus found himself surrounded by drivers, all wanting to shake his hand, share their own struggles. Later, as the crowd thinned, Marcus found Ava on the side steps, watching the sunset. "Thank you," he said simply. "Thank you for refusing my money that night. Changed everything. Changed us." They stood quiet, watching kids play in the parking lot. Kayla led a group in some complicated hand-clapping game. "We're friends now," Ava said, not a question. "Yeah, we are. Good. I need friends who tell me the truth. And I need friends who fight beside me." She held out her hand. They shook, but it felt different now, not professional, but personal. Trust, earned in battle. "Graham won't stop," she warned. "I know. Monday will bring new attacks. Then Monday, we fight back." Kayla ran over, breathless. "Daddy, Ms. Ava, did you see? Everyone loved it. Pastor Ruth said I can play at service tomorrow." Marcus lifted her up, though his back protested. "Proud of you, baby. Proud of you too, Daddy. You didn't give up." Over Kayla's shoulder, Marcus saw the banner one more time. Building roads to tomorrow. Today they'd laid foundation. Tomorrow would test if it held. Marcus's phone rang at 6 a.m. Monday. Leon's voice came through tight. "Turn on Channel 4. The news anchor's face filled the screen. "Securities regulators have opened an inquiry into NextGen Mobility CEO Ava Whitfield's charitable activities, citing possible improper influence and fiduciary violations. The Rides to Rise fund has been frozen pending investigation." Marcus dropped onto the couch. Frozen. Every dollar locked away. His phone buzzed. Text from Ava. "Board meeting in an hour." Graham's making his move. Then another alert email from Uber. His stomach clenched before he even opened it. "Dear Mr. Ellison, due to new information requiring review, your account status has been placed under further investigation." The doorbell rang. Marcus found a reporter outside, microphone ready. "Mr. Ellison, care to comment on allegations you concealed a violent criminal past?" "What?" The reporter held up a tablet. The headline screamed, "Uber's hero driver has dark secret bar fight assault reveals pattern of violence." Marcus shut the door, hands shaking. That fight happened 30 years ago, first month home from deployment. Another vet had insulted Tasha. Marcus threw one punch, paid his fine, did his community service, moved on. Ancient history twisted into fresh poison. His phone rang constantly now. He turned it off. Kayla came out for breakfast. "Daddy, you okay?" "Fine, baby. Get ready for school." She studied him with those eyes that missed nothing. "Is Ms. Ava in trouble?" "Just grown-up stuff." At school drop-off, other parents stared. One pulled their kid away when Kayla tried to say hi. Marcus watched his daughter's face crumble slightly before she recovered, waved goodbye, and walked inside alone. Back home, Marcus found an email from Pastor Ruth. "Emergency meeting tonight. Don't despair." By noon, the news got worse. Official statement from NextGen's board. Effective immediately, Ava Whitfield is suspended pending investigation. CFO Graham Pierce will assume interim CEO duties. Graham's first move, complete suspension of all Rides to Rise activities. Until regulatory clarity is achieved. Marcus tried to drive that afternoon, needing the income, but the app wouldn't let him go online. Under review. Indefinitely. He picked up Kayla early, claiming a doctor's appointment. She knew he lied but said nothing. At home she practiced trumpet while he made dinner spaghetti again, stretching the grocery budget. His phone rang during dinner. Unknown number, but he answered anyway. "Mr. Ellison? This is Sharon from the Scholarship Committee. I'm calling about Kayla's music program fees. We'll have them soon." Actually, we received a large donation specifically for Kayla, but now with this freeze, Kayla's fork clattered onto her plate. Her face went white. I'm sorry. What freeze? She whispered. Marcus hadn't realized she could hear. Baby, the scholarship money? It's frozen? Her voice climbed. But Ms. Ava promised. She promised. It's complicated. I don't understand. Tears streamed down her face. We didn't do anything wrong. Why are they punishing us? Marcus reached for her, but she pulled back. Everyone at school saw the news. They said you lied about being a hero. They said you hurt someone. Kayla, is it true? The question hung between them. Marcus's throat closed. A long time ago, before you were born, I made a mistake, got in a fight. But she ran to her room, slammed the door. The sound echoed like a gunshot. Marcus sat alone at the table, cold spaghetti congealing on plates. Outside, city lights sparkled, indifferent to his collapse. His phone buzzed. Text from Ava. Board voted. I'm out. Graham won. I'm so sorry, Marcus. Then from Leon. Heard Uber's review might take months. You need a lawyer. From Pastor Ruth. Church tonight, 8 p.m. Bring Kayla. Marcus knocked on Kayla's door. No answer. He heard muffled crying, her trying to practice trumpet through tears. Baby, we're going to church later. I don't want to go anywhere. Pastor Ruth asked. I don't care. 11 years old, and already learning how fast hope could shatter. Marcus pressed his forehead against her door. I'm sorry, baby. I'm so sorry. No response, just halting trumpet notes, each one a small heartbreak. Later, after Kayla finally agreed to go to church but wouldn't look at him, after Pastor Ruth's prayers felt hollow, after coming home to an eviction warning taped to their door 3 days until rent or vacate, Marcus sat alone on their narrow balcony. The city sprawled below, lights like scattered promises. Somewhere out there, Graham Pierce probably slept soundly. Ava was likely packing her office. Other drivers were working, earning, surviving. Marcus gripped the railing, knuckles white. Lord, why bless us just to take it away? The prayer scraped out raw, desperate. Was it a test? Did I fail? Was I too proud? Wind whipped through the balcony. No answer came. My little girl believed. She trusted. Now what do I tell her? Still nothing, just city noise and distant sirens. Marcus stayed there until his hands went numb from cold, waiting for dawn that wouldn't come, holding onto a railing like it might keep him from falling entirely. Inside, Kayla's trumpet had gone silent. The morning arrived cold and gray, matching Marcus's mood perfectly. Kayla sat in the passenger seat, backpack clutched in her lap, eyes fixed on nothing. You want to talk about it? She shook her head. At the school entrance, kids whispered. Parents pretended not to stare. Marcus watched his daughter square her shoulders, lift her chin, and walk through those doors like she'd learned to do brave on the outside, breaking within. Back home, he opened his laptop. The anonymous email glowed on screen. 50, 0 cash, no strings. Sign the NDA, stop talking to press, delete social media. Money transfers tonight. Your daughter needs this more than you need pride. $50,000 would cover rent, Kayla's band fees, even some college savings. All he had to do was vanish, become nobody again, let them win. His phone buzzed. Text from Pastor Ruth. Dinner tonight, 6 p.m., both you and Ava. Not a request. Marcus stared at the settlement offer. 1 click. Problem solved. Across town, Ava sat in her home office, former home office surrounded by boxes. Graham had given her 48 hours to clear out, 20 years building something that mattered, gone in 2 days. Her laptop showed resignation letters, different versions. Clean break, protect the company. Shield Marcus from more attacks. Her lawyer recommended it. Cut losses, salvage what reputation remains. She thought about Marcus's face at the community center, that moment of pure joy when they'd announced his reinstatement. 3 days ago. Felt like a lifetime. Her phone rang. Pastor Ruth. I'm cooking pot roast. You're coming. I don't think. 6 o'clock. Wear something comfortable. The line went dead. Ava smiled despite everything. Pastor Ruth didn't ask. She commanded. Marcus arrived at Pastor Ruth's modest brick house first, bringing store-brand cookies, all he could afford. She pulled him into a hug that nearly broke him. "Where's Kayla?" "Leon's watching her. She didn't want to come." Ruth's face softened. "She'll understand someday." "Will she?" Ava knocked, looking smaller without her power suits. Jeans and a sweater, hair pulled back, carrying wine that probably cost more than Marcus's weekly groceries. They ate in near silence at first. Ruth's pot roast tender enough to fall apart, potatoes soaking up gravy, green beans with bacon. Comfort food for uncomfortable times. "You both look terrible," Ruth announced. Marcus almost laughed. Ava actually did. "Feel worse," Marcus admitted. Ruth refilled their water glasses. "I've been praying about you two. Want to know what God said? That we're idiots?" Ava suggested. "Close. He reminded me of the parable of the talents." Marcus pushed potatoes around his plate. "The one about the master giving servants money?" "Remember what happened to the servant who buried his talent out of fear?" "Lost everything," Ava said quietly. Ruth leaned forward. "God doesn't hand you blessings to bury them in fear. He hands them to multiply." "Easy to say when you're not facing eviction," Marcus muttered. "Boy, I've faced worse. Lost my husband to cancer, raised 3 kids alone, watched this neighborhood crumble and rebuild twice. You think I haven't been scared?" She stood, started clearing plates with practiced efficiency. Fear's just faith pointed in the wrong direction. "You," she pointed at Ava, "thinking about quitting because some suit played dirty? And you," at Marcus, "ready to take blood money to disappear?" Marcus's head snapped up. "How did you—" "I know everything worth knowing in this neighborhood." Ruth brought out apple pie, still warm. "That money in your inbox? That's Graham Pierce, trying to buy your silence. You take it, he wins. Ava quits, he wins. You both give up. Every driver depending on you loses." "It's not that simple," Ava protested. The board's scared." "Good. Scared people make mistakes. Graham already made his, leaking that video. Leon's been digging, hasn't he?" Marcus nodded slowly. "Then, let him dig. Meanwhile, you two stop acting like this is over." She served pie with vanilla ice cream, the kind of simple pleasure that made everything else fade for a moment. "Tasha would be ashamed of me," Marcus said suddenly. "Why?" "Running scared. Teaching Kayla to run scared." Ruth touched his hand. "Tasha would understand the fear, but she'd remind you who you're fighting for." After dinner, they sat on Ruth's porch, watching the neighborhood settle into evening. Kids played basketball under streetlights. Someone's grandmother called them in for bed. "I don't know if I'm strong enough," Marcus admitted. "Me neither," Ava added. Ruth rocked in her chair, humming something that might have been a hymn. "Strength's overrated. Just be stubborn. God'll handle the rest." That night, Marcus dreamed of Tasha. She stood in their old kitchen, wearing the yellow dress he'd loved, smiling that way that lit up everything. "Stand tall, Marcus. Kayla is watching. I'm scared." "Good. Means it matters. What if I fail?" She touched his face, gentle as morning. "Then you fail standing up, not hiding. That's the legacy you leave her, not success, but courage." Marcus woke with tears on his face, Tasha's whisper still echoing. The hearing room smelled like old coffee and fresh fear. Marcus adjusted his tie borrowed from Leon and tried not to count the cameras. 300 people packed the auditorium. Drivers he'd met at Pastor Ruth's potluck, veterans from support group, church ladies armed with hand fans and determination. Reporters lined the walls like vultures waiting for carrion. Graham Pierce stood at the podium, silver hair perfect, suit worth more than Marcus's car. His presentation slides glowed on the screen, spreadsheets, risk assessments, carefully selected photos. Ms. Whitfield's actions demonstrate a pattern of emotional decision-making that endangers shareholder value, Graham said, clicking through charts. Her involvement with Mr. Ellison, a man with a documented history of violence, represents catastrophic judgment. The bar fight photo appeared, 28 years old, grainy, but damning enough. Marcus in handcuffs, blood on his shirt. Furthermore, Graham continued, Mr. Ellison accepted improper compensation that violates platform policies and potentially federal regulations. Ava's hand found Marcus's under the table. Squeezed once. Let go. The board must act decisively to protect this company's reputation and fiduciary responsibilities. Graham returned to his seat. The board chairman, a thin man named Harrison, shuffled papers. Mr. Ellison, would you care to respond? Marcus's legs felt like water. 300 faces watching. Cameras recording. Kayla, somewhere in that crowd with Leon. He stood. The microphone seemed miles away. Each step echoed. When he reached the podium, his hand shook slightly as he adjusted the mic. My name is Marcus Ellison. His voice cracked. He cleared his throat, started again. I'm 52 years old. I've been driving nights for 3 years, since my wife died. The room stilled. Before that, I was an Army medic, 3 tours, saved lives when I could. Held hands when I couldn't. He found Kayla in the crowd. She gave him a small wave. That photo Mr. Pierce showed? That was my first year home. I was drinking too much, angry at everything, picking fights with ghosts. A man said something about veterans being baby killers. I snapped. Someone in the crowd murmured understanding. I spent the night in jail. Judge gave me probation and mandatory counseling. Best thing that ever happened to me. I got help. Met my wife Tasha in that counseling group. Built a life worth living. His voice grew stronger. Now I drive nights to keep a roof over my daughter's head. Every passenger who gets in my car trusts me with their safety. Drunk college kids. Nurses ending 12-hour shifts. People heading to airports at dawn, starting adventures, or saying goodbyes. He looked directly at Graham. That's service. Not the kind that makes headlines or stock prices jump. The kind that happens at 2 in the morning when nobody's watching. A few drivers nodded. Miss Whitfield got in my car drunk and hurting. She tried to give me $10,000. I said no because that's not who I am. My dignity isn't for sale. His voice caught again, but he pushed through. She came back the next morning, sober and ashamed, trying to make things right, not with money, with respect. With a promise to help drivers like me, who work invisible hours for invisible wages, he gestured to the crowd. These people came here because they believe in that promise. They've been suspended without cause, deactivated by algorithms, worked 60-hour weeks and still can't afford their kids' school supplies. Tears ran down one woman's face. You want to talk about liability? Every night I drive is a liability. Every passenger could rate me badly, make a false complaint, end my income with one click. But I do it anyway, because work has dignity when you do it right. He stepped back from the podium. That's all I have to say. Silence. Then, from the back, slow clapping. It spread like fire through dry grass. The community side of the room rose to their feet. Even some reporters joined. Harrison gavelled for order. Ms. Whitfield? Ava walked to the podium carrying a folder, her hand steady, voice clear. 3 days ago, a whistleblower contacted me. She opened the folder. These are emails between Mr. Pierce and several board members, dated 2 weeks before the viral video appeared. She placed pages on the visualizer. Graham's words filled the screen. The driver angle could destabilize her position. Public opinion turns quickly on these matters. Another email. Once she's removed, the merger proceeds without resistance. My consulting firm stands ready. Graham's face went white. Mr. Pierce leaked that porch cam footage, Ava continued. He orchestrated the smear campaign against Marcus. He froze the Rides to Rise funds through false regulatory complaints. She placed another document down. This is a contract between Mr. Pierce's private consulting firm and our competitor. guaranteeing him $8 million if the merger succeeds. The board members shifted like startled birds. He betrayed this company, our drivers, and every principle we claim to stand for. Harrison turned to Graham. Mr. Pierce, your response? Graham stood, adjusted his tie, opened his mouth. Nothing came. He tried again. These are taken out of context. The fiduciary responsibility. Did you leak the video? Harrison's voice cut like ice. I was protecting shareholder interests. Did you leak the video? Graham's shoulders fell. Yes. The room exploded, reporters shouting questions, community members on their feet. Harrison pounding his gavel. When order returned, the regulators huddled in conference. 5 minutes. 10. Finally, one spoke. Our investigation will redirect toward Mr. Pierce immediately. Ms. Whitfield, Mr. Ellison, we apologize for any hardship. The board voted within minutes. Graham removed. Ava reinstated. Rides to Rise funds released. Marcus and Ava exchanged a glance across the chaos relief, mixed with something deeper. Hope, maybe. Or just the exhausted joy of surviving the storm together. The board reconvened after a brief recess. Harrison's gavel brought silence. We'll address Mr. Pierce's termination first. His voice carried no warmth. All in favor? Every hand rose. Even Graham's former allies distanced themselves like he carried plague. Motion carries. Security will escort Mr. Pierce out. Legal will handle the details. 2 guards flanked Graham. He gathered his papers with shaking hands, avoiding every gaze. The man who'd wielded corporate speak like a sword now had no words left. His Italian leather shoes clicked against marble, each step smaller than the last. Now, Harrison continued, the matter of Ms. Whitfield's reinstatement. Board member Patricia Chen spoke up. Ava showed courage coming forward. She protected this company's integrity. She protected drivers, corrected James Morrison from the end of the table. That matters more. The vote was unanimous. Ava, CEO, again. Effective immediately. But Harrison wasn't finished. The Rides to Rise initiative requires restructuring. Ms. Whitfield, your proposal? Ava stood, steadier now. It needs independence. Full nonprofit status. A board that represents the community it serves. Meaning? Pastor Ruth Delgado should chair it. She knows these families, their real needs. Ruth, sitting in the gallery, straightened in surprise. A veteran's advocate. Ava continued. Someone who understands that transition from service to civilian work. A driver representative elected by drivers themselves. And a parent, someone who knows what it means to worry about their child's future while working 3 jobs. Patricia Chen leaned forward. You're giving up control? I'm giving it to the people who matter. The room buzzed. Corporate executives rarely surrendered power voluntarily. Morrison raised his hand. What about leadership? Who runs daily operations? Ava turned to Marcus. Mr. Ellison should serve as Director of Community Partnerships. Marcus's mouth opened. Closed. Opened again. I'm just a driver. You're the reason this exists. Ava's voice carried across the room. No one else can lead it with your heart. I don't know anything about running programs. You know about dignity, service. What drivers need at 3 in the morning when their check engine light comes on. Pastor Ruth stood in the gallery. Marcus Ellison, stop arguing with your blessing. Nervous laughter rippled through the crowd. Harrison addressed Marcus directly. It's a salaried position. Full benefits, stable hours. Your daughter could actually see you during daylight. Kayla's face flashed in Marcus's mind. Band concerts he'd missed. Homework sessions cut short by ride requests. The salary is $75,000, Ava added, plus health insurance, retirement contributions. Leon whistled from his seat. Man, that's 3 times what you make driving. Marcus looked at the faces around him. Drivers who'd been deactivated without explanation. Veterans struggling with civilian transition. Parents choosing between gas and groceries. His voice came out rough. If I take this, it's not about the money. We know, Ava said softly. I'd need training, support. You'll have it. And the drivers get real, say? Not just token representation. They elect their own board member, direct input on all policies. Marcus rubbed his face. His hand still trembled slightly. Okay. The word barely audible, but the room heard it. Another wave of applause, this time warmer, more personal. Harrison called for order once more. The board needs to vote on the nonprofit structure. It passed without opposition. Rides to Rise would become independent within 60 days. The company would provide initial funding, but no control. Pastor Delgado, Harrison addressed Ruth, will you accept the board chair position? Ruth stood, straightened her blazer. I've been serving this community for 20 years. This is just another way to serve. Yes. More procedural votes, budget allocations, legal framework. Marcus's head spun with corporate terminology, but Ava caught his eye, mouthed, I'll explain everything later. Finally, Harrison's gavel fell one last time. Meeting adjourned. The room erupted. Reporters rushed forward with questions. Community members hugged each other. Someone started singing We Shall Overcome before others hushed them, embarrassed. Ava touched Marcus's elbow. Ready to face them? Through the glass doors, Marcus saw drivers holding signs, cardboard and markers, nothing fancy. Marcus Ignity. Thank you for saying no. Drivers are people. Thank you, Marcus. I don't know if I can do this, he admitted. The job or the crowd? Both. You stood up to me drunk at midnight. You testified against a corporate shark. You can handle some grateful drivers. They pushed through the doors together. Sunlight hit them like baptism. The crowd surged forward, not angry but celebrating. Hands reached out to shake, to pat shoulders, to connect. You saved my faith in people, one woman said, tears streaming. My kids will get their chance now, a young father added. Marcus tried responding to each person, but the words blurred together. Thank you. God bless. We did this together. Through the crowd, he spotted Kayla with Leon. She broke free, ran to him. Daddy, you got a real job. He lifted her, held her tight. We're going to be okay, baby. We were always okay, she corrected. Now we're going to be better. Over her shoulder, Marcus saw Ava watching them. She smiled, real and unguarded, before turning to handle the reporters. The signs kept waving. Voices kept cheering. Marcus held his daughter and let himself believe it was real. 6 weeks later, Marcus stared at the nameplate on his desk. Marcus Ellison, Director of Community Partnerships. The office wasn't fancy second-hand furniture, walls that needed paint, but the window overlooked the community center's parking lot, where drivers gathered every morning for coffee and conversation. His computer pinged. Another scholarship application. Single mother, 3 kids, working nights while studying nursing. Marcus rubbed his temples. They'd received 200 applications in the first month. The fund could support maybe 30. Knock knock. Leon stood in the doorway holding 2 cups of coffee. Man, you look like someone stole your lunch money. How do I choose? Marcus gestured at the screen. Every story breaks my heart. That's why they picked you. You actually care. Marcus accepted the coffee gratefully. His mornings now started here instead of behind the wheel, though he still drove Friday and Saturday nights. Couldn't quite let go of the routine. Or maybe the reminder of where this started. Board meeting at 2, Leon reminded him. Pastor Ruth wants the scholarship criteria finalized. Another ping. This time a text from Ava. Free for dinner? Kayla mentioned you're surviving on frozen dinners again. Marcus smiled despite himself. Since returning as CEO, Ava juggled 12-hour days fighting hostile board members with these check-ins. She'd appear at his office with takeout, or at the apartment with groceries, always with some excuse about being in the neighborhood. That evening, Ava arrived with Chinese food and a bottle of wine she didn't open. Kayla had set the table with their good plates, the ones Tasha bought for special occasions. Tell me about the applications, Ava said, serving Kung Pao chicken. Too many needs, not enough funds. We'll raise more. It's not just money. Marcus pushed rice around his plate. I have to look these people in the eye and say no. I don't know if I'm built for that. Kayla excused herself to practice trumpet, leaving them alone at the table. You remember when you told me about freezing under fire? Ava asked quietly. Marcus tensed. He'd shared that story once, at the Veterans' Night. You said you couldn't move while your friend needed help. Don't see how that qualifies me for this job. But you did move, eventually. You saved 3 other soldiers that day, after James died. You learned something that day about making impossible choices, about living with decisions that hurt no matter what you choose. Marcus met her eyes. She looked exhausted. Board battles were taking their toll. What about you? How many people you disappointing to keep this program alive? Ava's laugh held no humor. Lost 2 major investors this week. Graham poisoned the well pretty thoroughly before he left. Why fight so hard for this? She traced the rim of her glass. Remember foster home number 4? I was 9. The mother promised to adopt me, had me calling her Mom, picking out wallpaper for my room. Then her real daughter got jealous, and suddenly I was back in the group home. Ava, I swore I'd never trust anyone's promises again. Built my whole life on not needing anyone. She looked up. Then this stubborn driver refused my money and made me realize I'd become someone who throws cash at problems instead of seeing people. You saw me fine, after you forced me to. That night, drunk and pathetic, I was every powerful person who'd ever let me down. And you just... I refused to play along. Marcus reached across the table, covered her hand with his. We're both walking around with old wounds. Maybe that's why we can do this work. We know what it feels like to be overlooked. From Kayla's room, trumpet notes drifted scales, then the opening bars of Amazing Grace. She's getting good, Ava said. Concert's next week. You coming? Wouldn't miss it. They sat in comfortable silence, hands still touching, when Kayla burst in carrying poster boards. Look what I made for the dedication. She'd drawn the learning center in bright markers, surrounded by books and computers. Above it, the Tasha Ellison Learning Lab, where dreams take flight. Marcus's throat tightened. And this one. Kayla held up another poster. Thank you, Ms. Ava, for believing in my dad. There's more. The third poster showed stick figures holding hands, one tall with a tie, Marcus, one in a dress. Ava, one small with a trumpet, Kayla, and one outlined in gold, watching from clouds, Tasha. Mom would be so proud, Kayla said simply, of all of this. Of you choosing to help people, Daddy. Of Ms. Ava becoming our friend. Marcus pulled his daughter close, unable to speak. Ava stood to leave, but Kayla grabbed her hand. You're family now. Family doesn't leave after dinner without helping with dishes. So they washed dishes together, Kayla chattering about school, Marcus and Ava exchanging glances over her head. When Ava finally left, she squeezed Marcus's shoulder. Your wounds don't disqualify you, she said. They qualify you. After she left, Marcus stood at the window watching her taillights disappear. Kayla appeared beside him. She likes you, Daddy. We're friends. Mom would want you to be happy. Marcus looked at his wise 11-year-old. I am happy. Happier then. That night, reviewing scholarship applications, Marcus thought about wounds and qualifications, about frozen moments and the courage to move anyway, about Tasha's voice in his dreams saying, stand tall, tomorrow he'd make impossible choices. Some families would celebrate while others waited, but tonight his daughter slept peacefully. Posters spread around her room proclaiming pride in her father. That was enough reason to keep standing. The morning air carried spring warmth as Marcus straightened his tie for the 3rd time. Through the bathroom mirror, he caught Kayla adjusting her band uniform. Stop fussing, Daddy. You look good. Just want to look right. For your mom. They arrived at the community center an hour early. The converted wing gleamed with fresh paint, soft yellow walls that caught sunlight through new windows. Marcus touched the door frame, remembering the mold and water stains from months ago. Marcus, Leon jogged over in his dress uniform, metals catching light. Brought the whole crew. Behind him, a dozen veterans lined up, uniforms pressed sharp. Marcus's throat tightened. You didn't have to. Brother, you think we'd miss this? Cars filled the parking lot. Drivers arrived wearing company jackets, Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, even taxi companies. Mrs. Chen from the corner grocery brought trays of egg rolls. The church ladies commandeered tables, spreading tablecloths and arranging flowers. Pastor Ruth found Marcus checking the sound system for Kayla's performance. Nervous? Terrified. Good. Means it matters. Ava arrived with her assistant, both carrying boxes of programs. She'd traded her usual designer suit for a simple blue dress. When she spotted Marcus, something soft crossed her face. The banner's ready, she said. You sure about the wording? Tasha Ellison Learning Lab. Simple. Like her. Children raced between adults' legs, their laughter mixing with conversation. Marcus recognized kids from Kayla's school, from the apartment complex, from church. Some would be the first scholarship recipients. Daddy, it's time. Kayla held her trumpet, hands steady despite her bright eyes. The crowd gathered, spilling onto the sidewalk. Marcus counted over 200 people. His hands shook. Pastor Ruth stepped to the microphone. We gather today not just to open a building, but to plant seeds of hope. She spoke of Tasha, the quiet nurse, who'd tutored kids after double shifts, who'd believed education could break any chain. Marcus gripped Kayla's hand as memories flooded back. Tasha at the kitchen table with neighborhood kids, patient with math problems, fierce about dreams. Now let's unveil what love built. 2 volunteers pulled cords. The banner unfurled. The Tasha Ellison Learning Lab in bold letters, with smaller text below, where every child's dream matters. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Someone started clapping. Soon applause thundered across the lot. Now everyone will know Mommy, Kayla whispered, squeezing Marcus's hand. Pastor Ruth nodded to Kayla. The girl stepped forward, raised her trumpet. The first notes of Amazing Grace floated clear and true. Veterans saluted. Drivers removed caps. Children stilled. The melody carried across the neighborhood, through open windows where curious faces peered out. Kayla played with her whole heart, the notes climbing higher, stronger. When she finished, the silence held for a heartbeat before erupting in cheers. Ava approached the microphone, waiting for quiet. 6 months ago, a driver refused my drunken attempt to throw money at my guilt. Nervous laughter rippled. Marcus Ellison taught me that integrity isn't about grand gestures. It's about showing up. Doing right when nobody's watching, refusing shortcuts even when you're drowning. She turned to Marcus. You drove nights to pay bills, raised an incredible daughter alone, served our country, yet you still had grace for a messy stranger who'd forgotten what mattered. Marcus felt tears building. This lab exists because one man's integrity inspired others to act. Because a community decided that dignity matters more than dividends. Because, her voice cracked, because sometimes God puts exactly the right person in your path, even if you're too drunk to deserve them. The crowd laughed through tears. Marcus, Kayla, please come cut this ribbon. Marcus's legs felt wooden. Kayla tugged him forward. Someone pressed giant scissors into his hands. Say something, Daddy, Kayla whispered. Marcus looked at the crowd, drivers who'd shared their roots, veterans who'd shared their scars, church folks who'd shared their casseroles. Ava stood to the side, tears streaming unashamed. Tasha believed, his voice broke. He started again. My wife believed every child deserved a chance. She'd stay up past midnight tutoring kids for free because she said education was the only thing nobody could take from you. He lifted the scissors. She'd be amazed that her name's on this building, but she'd want you to know it's not about her. It's about them. He pointed to the children. Every computer in there, every book, every tutor, it's saying we believe in you. We see you. Your dreams matter. Kayla helped guide the scissors. The ribbon fell away. The doors opened. Children flooded in, voices echoing off new walls. Parents followed, marveling at rows of computers, shelves of books, study nooks with beanbags. Marcus stood frozen as people congratulated him. Through the crowd, he saw Tasha's photo on the wall, the one from their wedding, her smile radiant. Underneath, a plaque, in memory of Tasha Ellison, who believed in the power of education and the promise in every child. His knees nearly buckled. Ava appeared at his elbow, steady. "You okay?" She would have loved this. She did love this. She planted it. We just watered what she started. Kayla bounced over, trumpet case swinging. "Daddy, look. They have my poster up." Sure enough, her hand-drawn dedication poster hung framed by the entrance. Marcus pulled his daughter close, kissed her forehead. Over her head, he met Ava's eyes. "Thank you," he mouthed. She smiled, that soft look returning. "Thank you for refusing my tip." The evening air carried hints of spring as Marcus slid into the Camry. The familiar creak of the driver's seat welcomed him like an old friend. Kayla's band practice ran until 9, plenty of time for one last shift as just another driver. He ran his hand along the dashboard, feeling every worn spot, every crack that told a story. The engine turned over smooth now, thanks to Ava's mechanics. But the sound remained the same, that patient hum that had carried him through 3 years of nights. The small cross caught the sunset's glow, throwing tiny rainbows across the windshield. Tasha had hung it there, their first week with the car. "Every journey needs a blessing," she'd said. Marcus pulled onto Riverside Avenue. The city looked different somehow. Same buildings, same streets, but the weight that had pressed on his shoulders for so long had lifted. He rolled down the window, let the air rush in. His phone buzzed. Not the Uber app this time, the new Rides to Rise hotline. "This is Marcus." "Mr. Ellison? My name's Destiny. I'm trying to fill out the scholarship application, but I'm stuck on the essay part. I don't know how to explain why I deserve this." "Where are you?" "The library on 5th. It closes in an hour." "Stay put. I'm coming." He smiled at the empty booster seat in the back. Still there, even though Kayla hadn't needed it in years. Habit, maybe. Or hope that someday he'd help other parents get their kids safely where they needed to go. The library's fluorescent lights spilled onto the sidewalk. Inside, he found Destiny at a corner table, surrounded by crumpled paper. Maybe 19, wearing a hotel uniform, exhaustion written in every line of her face. "Double shift?" Marcus asked, sitting across from her. She nodded. "Night audit after housekeeping. But my daughter's smart, Mr. Ellison. Really smart. Her teacher says she could get into the gifted program if we can afford the materials." Marcus remembered that desperation, that fierce love that made you work until you dropped. "You don't write about deserving it," he said gently. "You write about what you'll do with it. How your daughter's future changes. How you'll pay it forward." They worked through the application together, Marcus sharing stories from the road, Destiny relaxing enough to share her own. Her boyfriend had left when the baby came. Her parents said she'd made her bed, but she'd kept driving hotel van by day, food delivery by night. "You remind me of someone," Marcus said as she signed the form. "Your wife?" "No. Ava, actually. That same determination to build something from nothing." Walking back to the car, Marcus felt the rightness of it. This was the work now, not just driving, but guiding. Not just surviving, but lifting others. His phone showed 8:47, time to get Kayla. The bandroom's windows glowed warm. Through them, he could see her in the trumpet section, focused, professional. She'd grown 2 inches since that night with Ava's tip. Her face had lost some of its little girl roundness. She spotted him, waved with her free hand while holding a note. The band director nodded early release. How was practice? Good. We're doing a spring concert. Mr. Rodriguez wants me to try for first chair. That's my girl. She buckled in, then noticed something. You've been driving. How'd you know? You look peaceful, like you used to with Mom. They rode in comfortable silence. At a red light, Kayla spoke again. Dad, do you think Mom knows about the lab? Marcus glanced at the cross, still catching light despite the darkening sky. I think she knew before any of us. I think she planted this years ago. Every time she stayed late tutoring, every time she told a kid they mattered. Ava said something similar. When? At the ceremony, when you were talking to the news people. She said Mom's love was like seeds that just needed time to grow. The light turned green. Marcus drove on, marveling at how Ava understood things she'd never seen, how she could trace Tasha's influence through their lives, like following a river to its source. Ava's business card lay on the passenger seat, not the CEO one with embossed letters, but the simple one she'd handed him that morning, just her name and number, friend, written in her handwriting underneath. You like her, Kayla said. Not a question. She's been good to us. That's not what I mean. Marcus glanced at his daughter. It's complicated, baby. Mom would want you happy. I am happy. I have you. Stable work. Community. Dad. Kayla's voice carried gentle reproach. Remember what Pastor Ruth says about not burying blessings? Before he could respond, his phone buzzed. Another scholarship inquiry. Then another. 3 more in quick succession. Guess the work never ends, he chuckled, pulling over to respond to the urgent ones. Kayla smiled. Good thing you know these roads. As they pulled into their apartment complex, Marcus caught the skyline in his rearview mirror. The buildings shimmered gold in the last light, looking less like walls and more like possibilities. Tomorrow he'd be in an office, building programs instead of just driving, but tonight, in this familiar seat, with his daughter beside him and purpose ahead, Marcus felt the beautiful weight of answered prayers. The cross swayed gently as he parked, ready for the road ahead. If you enjoyed the story, I handpicked this next story that you will enjoy. Please don't miss this one. Click here to watch it.